meant having to think of the classroom as being both a place for remote learning and classroom learning. So it's added a whole new dimension to that, and getting adjusted to students who are on the screen over there and students who are sitting in the seats, and making sure that you can engage them all. And it adds a little challenge, but being able to see them on the screen so vividly definitely helps. You know, this is about as close to a proximity of an in-person class as you can get using, you know, the Poly system. I mean, you can't really get any better than that, because I mean, it gives them a view of the whole classroom. You don't have to worry about whether you're right in front of your computer camera, whether you're projecting loudly enough. The sound is crystal clear. I mean, the students have made very clear that it's easy to hear and see everything, and feel a part of the class. There's times where I've had to say, okay, no one here can say anything. I'd like to hear a comment on this issue we just discussed from the digital folks, from the remote folks. And because what happens is that they're sort of like in an isolation, you know, they're sort of isolated from this. So that part I'm still trying to get them to do, you know, get them to speak more. So I'm thinking of having them do some kind of more formal presentation for like 1 or 2 minutes, just to get them used to the idea that they're going to have to talk through that screen. You know, when you're not in such a formal setting like the classroom, and you're in your dorm room, and there's beds and TVs and there's people walking around and stuff like that, I can see it being more difficult to focus. I would say that's probably the biggest challenge, though, in that you adapt and that you do learn to focus. And you know, I'll tell them things like, well, put on headphones or really good earbuds, you know, that block out the sound. And but I think they've adjusted well, and I no longer have to worry about even rotating them in and out of the class for social distancing. There are some students who have grown very comfortable with it, and they just want to do that. And now everyone who wants to be in the classroom can be if they want to. So I think it's sort of self-selecting. Those who do okay looking at the screen are tending to stick with that. And then there's just some folks who don't want to get out of bed maybe, or leave their room, but and then those who really feel the need to be in the classroom do it. It works out. I'm going to insist on having this in my classroom. I mean, for one thing is that we have a lot of athletes on campus. And although the season's been suspended this year for all the fall sports, that's not going to be the case next year, at least I hope not. And so, you know, when our athletes are away from campus, I mean, obviously when they're away, they don't always have time to be in class, but I would love to give them the opportunity to remote in, remain a part of class. They could even do it on the bus, wherever they're driving. They can use, because this thing works perfectly on the phone or on tablets, or as long as there's Wi-Fi on the bus, on their computers. They could do it from their hotel room. I mean, you're talking 50 and 75-minute blocks of classes, and that way they don't feel they're missing out on much, but also you can record. And I mean, this I think really solves this solves, in effect, the whole problem of having student athletes having to miss out on being a student when they're being an athlete. I mean, this is an optimal solution to that problem. Never have to worry about, because it's not a matter of just them making up work. You know, you want them to feel of the class, you know, and not just be, you know, you want them to feel part of the class, not just, have the class be a series of tasks for them to complete.